Hey everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Calvin. Today we are going to get ahead of the fall season. We're going to learn how to make apple cider spice donuts. So we are a little early in the season, so if you can't find apple cider, you can do what I'm doing, which is using a sparkling cider. But the most important thing to get started right away, because you got to reduce it down, is put on a low heat in a saucepan. You want 1.5 cups of sparkling cider or regular cider. We're going to reduce it at a very, very low temperature from 1.5 cups to just a half a cup, all condensed down. The reason you want to do it at a very low temperature is because you just want the water content to evaporate out of the cider. But you don't want to burn those sugars that are in it. You don't want to make it bitter that way. So just make sure low temperature, very low simmer. So we're going to have that going as we're getting all of the rest of the ingredients ready. So we have our dry bowl and our wet bowl. So in our wet bowl, we have 2 tablespoons of butter. We have 1 egg. We also have half of a cup of packed brown sugar, half of a cup of regular sugar, and half of a cup of milk. So we're gonna leave, and also 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract in there. So we're gonna whisk all of that together. And then over here on our dry end, so you are gonna be using baking soda and baking powder in this. So you want 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of apple spice, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and then we're going to use 2 cups of flour. So if you don't have apple pie spice at home, what you're going to do is you're going to have cardamom, nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon. You're going to add all of those kind of together, but those are like the signature like spices you would find in an apple pie. So I'm going to take this. We want to aerate everything mixed together. Now, apple cider donuts are a very spice heavy type of donut. So you want to be smelling all those aromatics coming through. So that's nice and aerated. And we're going to break our egg yolk. Now, the closer you can have everything to room temperature, the better off you're going to be. I think my butter is just a little bit too cold, but it's not something we can't work with. Obviously, if you have a blender, use that. Hand blender as well. And while we're doing this, we're going to keep a close eye on our reducing apple cider. We don't want that to go past the half a cup mark. The other important thing when you're doing with sparkling cider is you don't want to disturb it too much when you're simmering it down, because if you're lucky enough, you'll keep some of that carbonation and some of that sparkling aspect in it. That will react with the baking powder and baking soda and kind of give you a lighter, airier donut. Okay, so now that we have everything incorporated on our wet side, it's everything but the reduced apple cider. What we want to do, we want to get that right into our dry mix. Slowly incorporate it as you're whisking it. Make sure you get every last drop. We just want to keep working it like that. Scraping down the sides as we go. You should really, I mean, the smell of the spices is just hitting me in the face right now. Should be doing the same thing. You want it to be just a super spiced up. Right. Now, after you've reduced your apple cider enough, make sure you do leave that time for it to cool down, because you don't want to add a boiling hot mixture into this right now. But it's kind of darker, very, very nice. So you're adding that in. Now our next step, we want to get our oven preheated to 350 degrees. And if you have a donut pan, I would use it in this scenario, but if you don't, what we're going to do is we're going to put it into muffin tins, which will get about the same thing. But if you're really missing that center cutout of donut, then feel free to cut out the center of this muffin. So we got it nice, no lumps, great consistency. What we're gonna do is have our 12 muffin tin sprayed out. This one is non-stick, so it should be good to go. We're gonna fill up these 12 cups. It's gonna be at 350 degrees, baked for about, check it after 18 minutes. You want a clean toothpick coming out of the center. Yeah, let's see it. All right, so now we have our muffins out of the oven. I'm gonna take it out of the tin, cut it in half just like that. And we could take the center out if we really wanted to. Just get that donut look. Just kind of cut it through and punch it through. We could leave it just like that. Cut the top off just a little bit. Now what we want to do is we want to kind of elevate it. Cut it there. So what we want to do is we want to get a saute pan, nice and hot. Drop a little bit of butter into there. You're basically pan fry these in a little bit of butter. So what we want to do, when you cut the muffin, the outside is nice and crispy, inside still pretty doughy, so we want to get that crispness all around it like a traditional donut. So we are going to crank that up, get the butter going, right into there. Now this will also help to get some butter all around the edges. Off to the side, you want to get a bowl with cinnamon, sugar, and a little bit more of that allspice or apple pie spice. So by kind of sauteing this in the butter, we're coating it in butter, and then those seasonings and that sugar is going to stick a little bit better. Just do it real quick because we're just kind of toasting it a little bit. Then we can take it right out of the pan, right into this. Give it a quick toss around. And that's it. Nicely toasted. Coat it all around. And now you can impress anyone coming over your house this fall with some apple cider donuts. This is Cooking with Calvin, and I'll see you guys next time.